first date, checking my reflection one final time in my compact mirror, I ran my fingers through my long blonde hair. It was far from perfect, the wind had put paid to that, but it would do. I got my phone out of my bag so I could check the time. I was fashionably late, but only slightly. I put it back, took a deep breath and entered the bar. Thankfully it wasn't too busy, there was just a gentle hum of conversation and background music filling the relatively large room. I looked around for my date but couldn't immediately see him. We had never met before, but I had seen his profile picture on the dating app, so I was sure I would be able to recognize him. Feeling slightly awkward standing on my own by the door, I contemplated getting myself a drink, but then I heard someone calling out my name. "Stacy, over here." It was Aaron, the man I had come to meet. He was sat in the corner at probably the best table in the place. He had already bought us drinks, a pina colada which he had clearly been sipping himself, and an untouched Cosmopolitan, my favorite cocktail, waiting for me at the seat opposite. He stood up and waited for me to make my way to the table, offering a hug and a rather camp air kiss, which made me giggle and instantly set my nerves to rest. Aaron was a good-looking guy, even more so in real life compared to his profile picture. Only slightly taller than me, the first thing I noticed was his beautiful hair. It was golden brown, long with a slight curl to it, very well looked after. The majority of girls I knew would be jealous of his hair, including myself. His skin was smooth and his eyebrows looked well plucked. He clearly took pride in his appearance, a quality I liked in a man for sure. He was wearing a plain black shirt, to me it looked expensive, and minimal jewelry, just a plain silver wristwatch. His smile was engaging and friendly, I immediately felt at ease in his company. "You look great, I love your dress." Aaron spoke first. "Aw, thank you. You don't look too bad yourself." I took off my light jacket, revealing my figure hugging short red dress in all its glory. I smiled politely as I then took my first sip of my drink. This is the first time I've done anything like this, a blind date I mean. Although we're not totally blind, I guess. It was nice to get to know you a bit on the app, but there's nothing like meeting for real in person. Oh yeah, totally. I was chatting to one guy on the app and he just wouldn't arrange to meet me, no matter how many hints I dropped that I was ready to. So I just moved on, wasn't gonna wait forever for him to ask me out. "I'm really glad you wanted to meet me." "So am I." Aaron smiled. "It's really nice in here. Do you know I've never been in before?" "I have once, although not for long. It was a hen party and we didn't stay more than 20 minutes in any of the places that night if I remember rightly. The plan was to have one drink in every bar in town." "Sounds like quite a night." "Oh, it was." I giggled. "Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, Stacy." "And you." I took another sip of my drink, things were going well so far. "That is your favorite, right?" "Cosmopolitan." "It is, yes. How did you know?" I asked curiously. "You mentioned it on your profile, I think." "Ah yes, more than likely." I obviously don't have anything more interesting to talk about on there other than the alcoholic drinks I like. "I'm sure that's not true." "We'll see." I laughed. "I seem to remember your profile catching my eye anyway, must have been that picture you put up." "Oh, that old mug shot? It's terrible, I look like I'm about to be questioned by the police or something." "Nah, you look great." "I love your hair by the way, although I'm sure you get lots of people saying that to you." "Well yeah, occasionally. It requires a lot of upkeep, I'm always at the salon getting it done, but it's worth it I reckon." Totally. I took another big sip of my drink. How's your drink? Aaron asked. Amazing. How's yours? Really good. I love a pina colada, especially when it comes with a little umbrella on the side like this one does, he chuckled. So what do you do with your time? Like, what's your job? You didn't mention that at all on your profile, and I don't think we discussed it when we were texting. I readjusted my position on my chair and put my drink to one side for a moment, so I could fully concentrate on the conversation. No, while I tend not to mention it straight away, don't want to scare people off before they've had a chance to get to know me. Oh, now I'm intrigued. What is it? Do you work for the government or something? Is it top secret? Haha, no, nothing like that, Aaron replied. What do you do then? I was suddenly very curious. I guess you could call me an entertainer. I regularly perform on stage, singing, dancing, occasionally a bit of acting. I do loads of other stuff too. I have some regular gigs, I host events, make special guest appearances, and I do a bit of modeling too, which is a lot of fun. A model and singer? Amazing! I was seriously impressed. Well, yes, singing is just a small part of it. What songs do you sing? Oh, that usually depends on the theme of the show, but I do classic hits, some modern songs, show tunes. I host a karaoke night twice a month too, so I tend to just go with the requests of the crowd. I see. Where do you perform? Where is your regular gig? I asked curiously. Well, I work 1 or 2 nights a week at the Sparkle Club, usually on the weekend. I'm their regular headline act. The Sparkle Club? I asked, sounding slightly confused. Yes, do you know it? Yes, well, I've heard of it, but never been in. Isn't it a gay club? It is, yes. Aaron smiled, slightly awkwardly. Oh, okay. Fair enough. Wherever you're wanted, I guess. Whatever pays the bills. Indeed, Aaron replied, not quite knowing where to go with the conversation next. I'm a bit surprised though, I added. About what? Just a place like the Sparkle Club, you'd expect them to have a headline act who is a bit more flamboyant maybe, no offense. None taken. Aaron laughed. I mean, I'm sure you're very good at what you do. Aaron carried on giggling to himself. What's funny? I asked. Oh, nothing. It's just that. What? I am flamboyant. I'm a drag queen. Aaron added some flamboyance to his announcement by dramatically tipping his head back and flicking his hair. Oh, my God, really? I was stunned by the revelation. Feeling like I may have embarrassed myself with my line of questioning about Aaron's job, I could feel my face beginning to burn up slightly. Yes, really. And that's your job? I knew it was a dumb question, but it was all I could think of at that moment. It's my job, yes. Wow. So you make a living out of dressing as a woman? Pretty much. Aaron laughed. I'm shocked. I can tell. Aaron now appeared to be much more relaxed, even if I wasn't. Sorry. I mean. My mouth was getting dry, so I took another sip of my drink. It's fine. It's not what you were expecting, I get it. It's always a surprise when I tell people what I do. I just presumed all drag queens were gay? Well, yeah. not wanting to be stereotypical or anything. It's fine, most queens are. I just like to be different, I guess. So what's your queen name? I was now over the initial shock and had a list of questions I wanted to ask. Well, for a long time I've been known as Amanda Hug and Kiss. I've tried to move away from that name a little recently though, but I still use it when I'm in a drag competition or something like that. Amanda Hug and Kiss. Oh my God, that's brilliant. I love it. I couldn't help but giggle at the name. Thanks. It was fun being Amanda Hug and Kiss, but now people either know me as Queen Amanda, or for some of my work I'm just Amanda. I've also been given a nickname which goes on some of the posters, the Petticoat Queen, due to my love of vintage dresses and petticoats. You know I have like 1,000 questions I want to ask you. It's fine, most people do. You can ask me anything you like, but only as long as we can talk about you too. I mean, you certainly have the hair for it. But I still never would have guessed. Tell me about your job. Aaron smiled, he had almost finished his cocktail. I work in a bank. You don't look the type to work in a bank. Aaron joked. Well, I'm full of surprises too. I laughed. Another drink? Sure, same again please. Aaron stood up and walked over to the bar and I watched him closely until he was out of sight behind a pillar. I still couldn't quite believe what he had just told me, but he had certainly made me curious to find out more. He was a very good-looking guy, totally my type, and he had already made me laugh more times in 20 minutes than anyone else had managed in the past 6 months. But I wasn't sure what to think of him now I knew what he did for a living. He returned a few minutes later with our second round of cocktails. So, tell me about mortgages. He smiled. The next day it was Saturday and I was awoken just after 9 a.m. by my phone ringing. I could feel the warmth of the sun leaking through the curtains. I knew once I opened my eyes I wouldn't be able to go back to sleep. But the phone kept ringing so reluctantly, I picked it up. Hello? I answered groggily. So, how did it go? Diane, hey. Tell me everything. Is he as handsome as he is in his photo? Where did he take you? Did he take you home? Oh my God, you're at his place now, aren't you? Diane, calm down. No, I'm not at his place, it was only a first date. But we had a nice time, I really enjoyed it. And yes, he is very handsome in real life. Amazing! You gonna see him again? Yes, we're going out again next Friday. Finally, Stacy. I told you this would be the one, it's about time you had a bit of luck finding a man. Well, it's early days so I'm not getting too excited. I like Aaron, but he's different. Different, how? Oh, he just is. Like no other guy I've met before. Wow, get you. I'm chuffed for you, Stacy, I really am. So, tell me more, did you find out what he does as a job? Yes, he told me what he does. I paused and took a deep breath, knowing I was bound to get a reaction. He's a drag queen. There was a long silence before Diane replied. Sorry, Stacy, for a moment there I thought I'd heard you say he's a drag queen. I did say that. I laughed. So he's gay then? Why on earth is he taking you out on a date? He's not gay. I maintained. Oh, come on, of course he is. He's a drag queen. You really do choose them, don't you, Stacy? I know it's a little different, but I think it's kind of fun. I didn't sound sure. Come on, Stacy, you don't seem convinced yourself. How are you going to convince me? It's taking a bit of time to get my head around it, I admit. That can't be his only job, surely? Diane continued. It is, yes, he's a professional queen. He works a couple of nights a week at the Sparkle Club, as well as private bookings, promotional events. He does some modeling too. Have you seen him yet? I mean, as a woman? No, not yet. He was reluctant to tell me about his job to begin with, as he knew then it would be all we would talk about once he did. Obviously, I was shocked when he told me, and I then had a lot of questions, but we spent a lot of time talking about me too. Talking about banking? Well, yeah. I laughed. I knew my friend was taking the piss, but I didn't care. So what's his queen name? Diane asked. Amanda Hugginkiss, I replied. Amanda what? Amanda Hugginkiss. Do you get it? Amanda Hug and Kiss. That's so gay. He's also sometimes known as the Petticoat Queen. I added. Even more gay. Diane, come on. I think it's fun. I'm seeing him again and I'd really like your support, please. Of course, hun, I'm sorry, I'm only teasing. Just promise me one thing. What's that? When you're with him, try to keep your knickers on. Why? Because the second you take them off, he'll probably steal them. Diane! I wanted to be annoyed with her, but I couldn't help but laugh. Right, I gotta go. Chat to you later, Stacy. See ya. I put the phone down and rolled over in bed. I closed my eyes in the hope of being able to get back to sleep, but I was now far too awake. Second date. Exactly a week after our first date, I met Aaron for our second. I was wearing my favorite little black dress and was excited to see him again. This time he took me to a restaurant he assured me did the best Italian food in town. And he wasn't lying, the food was outstanding, and so was the company. We chatted like we had known each other much longer than we actually had, and he seemed genuinely interested when I told him all about me, even though others would have found it dull and boring. He constantly made me giggle. I couldn't stop smiling. I found myself starting to really like him, but at the back of my mind was the drag queen thing. I still wasn't sure what I thought about it. Smartly dressed in a dark blue shirt and black pants, Aaron acted like the perfect gentleman all evening, and despite my protests he insisted on paying for our meal. After we had finished eating, not wanting to end the night so quickly, we headed to the bar area for drinks. It was at this point that I finally brought up the topic I had been shying away from mentioning during the evening so far. I didn't want it to become the elephant in the room, and there was still so much I wanted to know about Aaron's life as a drag queen. So when am I going to meet her? I exclaimed. Meet who? Aaron played dumb, but I'm sure he knew who I was referring to. Amanda, the Petticoat Queen. I replied, almost certainly loud enough for others in the bar to have heard. Oh. Aaron laughed. I'm not sure you're ready for that yet. Course I am. Aaron, I hope I haven't been reading this wrong, but I've really enjoyed getting to know you these past 2 weeks. So have I. Aaron interrupted. And I'd very much like to see you again after tonight. I continued. And I'd like to see you again too. Aaron smiled. So for that reason, I'd say I'm ready to meet Amanda. You can at least show me a picture. Don't make me Google you. Oh God, don't do that, seriously. Aaron laughed, slightly awkwardly. "Show me a pic then," I demanded, playfully. Okay. Aaron took out his phone and pulled up a picture. "Here you go, this was taken last year." Aaron passed over his phone. On the screen was a glamorous drag queen wearing a long mermaid-style dark blue gown with sequins. She was wearing high heels, long pink silk gloves, and had a blue feather boa around her shoulders. Her hair was long, bouncy and blonde, and her makeup was colorful, but without being too over the top. Where she was standing suggested the photo had been taken at a photo shoot, rather than on stage or during a performance. "Wow, you look great, I love the dress." I took a good look at the picture before handing the phone back. If I was honest, I was a little underwhelmed, although I didn't know why. "Thanks. That's just one side of it, I guess. That's my classic queen look, the sequins and feather boas. That's the kind of thing a lot of people expect when they book me for a show or whatever." "But you'd rather be in something else?" "Yes, well, the sequins and feather boas are fun, but, well, there's a lot more to me than that. I'll show you properly sometime." "Can't wait." I forced a smile. "So I haven't scared you off then?" Aaron asked, slightly worryingly. "Not yet." I winked. "Good. You're doing well." Aaron stood up from the seats we had recently taken to. "Let me get you a drink." "Okay, if you insist." I sat back and watched as he walked over to the bar. The next day it was Saturday morning, and just as 7 days previously, my phone rang loudly just after 9 a.m. and woke me up. I knew who it would be, even before I answered. "Tell me everything." An excitable Diane was almost shouting down the phone. "Diane, so nice of you to call me early on a Saturday, again." There was a strong hint of sarcasm in my response. "Well, if you keep going out on Friday night, you'll keep getting a phone call on Saturday morning." "I guess so." I cleared my throat. "So, how did it go?" "Oh, it was good. The food was really nice and we stayed in the bar for a couple of hours afterwards." "Good? Is that all it was?" "Okay, it was better than good. We had a fun night, we had a long chat, got to know each other more." "Do you fancy him?" "I'm not sure. He's really great and he genuinely makes me laugh, but he's a woman," Diane blurted out. "Diane, don't say that. He's not a woman, he's the perfect gent. He didn't let me pay for anything all night, then he walked me home afterwards." "Did you invite him in?" "I did, but he declined. He said he has a lot on this weekend, so needed to get home for some sleep." "I see. So no goodbye snog then?" "Well, actually we did a little bit." "Really? Wow. How was it?" "It was fine." "Just fine?" "Yeah, was just a kiss. Didn't feel a spark or anything, not sure if it was the alcohol or I was tired or what. Maybe there just wasn't meant to be one?" "Yeah, maybe." "You gonna see him again?" "Yeah, next Friday. I'm starting to think we might be better off as just friends. He's great company, but I'm not sure there's anything more than that. And if there wasn't a spark when we kissed." "Because he's gay." "Diane, he's not gay." Okay, he just spends most of his time dressed as a woman." "Well, yes, I guess so." "And you're okay with that?" "I'm not sure." "Have you seen her yet?" Amanda, what's she called? Amanda Hug and Kiss, yes, he showed me a picture. And? And he looks like a regular drag queen. A regular drag queen? Yeah, I mean he's good at it. He was wearing a blue dress covered in sequins, a feather boa, high heels, but I don't know, from what he told me, I was expecting a little more than that if I'm honest. It's probably a good thing though. How do you mean? Well, he could have looked absolutely incredible as a woman, more attractive than you do. Then it might have been an issue. What girl wants to date a guy better looking than she is? But now you know what he does and he's just a regular queen, you can separate the two sides of him, what he does for work, and who he is when he's on a date with you. I mean he's probably got a huge following of gay men wanting a hug and a kiss from him, but at least he doesn't have a huge following of straight men wanting that too. Yeah, I think you're right. I have to admit, as curious I was to see what he looked like as Amanda, part of me was worried about how far he was prepared to take it all. So when I saw the picture, I was kinda pleased that he didn't look that amazing. He's a performer after all, it's just his job. Exactly. Right, I gotta go, Stacy, enjoy the rest of your day. See you later. And with that, Diane hung up. There was no chance of me getting any more sleep, so instead I got up and headed to the bathroom for a shower. In her own unique way, my straight-to-the-point best friend had set my mind at ease about Aaron, and indeed about Amanda. I was prepared to give him one more chance to see if we could find a spark, otherwise I would suggest we could just be friends instead. Despite my doubts, I did enjoy spending time with him, so I couldn't wait to see him again the following Friday. For our third date we had agreed to meet at Carrington's Cocktail Bar, one of my favorite places to go on a night out. Aaron claimed he had never been there before, which I found hard to believe, as everyone I knew went to Carrington's. But it gave me an additional reason to suggest we go there, so I wasn't complaining. Tonight my outfit was very Sandy from Grease. I was wearing a red strappy top, tight black pants and my favorite heels. I'd made extra effort with my hair too, curling it and pinning it back. I looked pretty hot if I could say so myself. As was now my tradition, I arrived a few minutes after the agreed time of 8 p.m. Aaron had texted me to say he was already there and sat at a table in the corner. I was fully aware of the layout of the bar, as I had been there many times. Walking through the door I couldn't immediately see Aaron, despite the place being relatively quiet for a Friday night. Amongst others there was a group of lads, all wearing shirts, smart shoes and dark jeans standing at the bar waiting to be served, a smartly dressed young couple, presumably on a date, staring deep into each other's eyes whilst sharing drinks at a table by the window, and there was a glamorous-looking brunette woman wearing a green dress sat by herself in the corner. There was no sign of Aaron though. I looked around again at each person in the bar, including those in the private seating area around the side, and I still couldn't see Aaron. Perhaps he had gone to the toilet. I checked my phone, no further messages from him. I began to feel awkward standing on my own, so headed over to an empty table to wait for him. I was just about to sit down when the glamorous brunette stood up from her table in the corner and approached me. "Stacy, hi," she said enthusiastically. Hi." I turned to face the woman. How the hell did she know my name? "I have a table in the corner." She smiled and gestured back over to where she had come from. "Sorry, I'm here to meet someone, but I don't think he's here yet." I looked around nervously, desperately hoping Aaron would suddenly appear. "Oh, Aaron couldn't make it tonight," the woman replied with another friendly smile. Then my heart skipped a beat as I suddenly realized who the woman was. I recognized that smile, I had seen it before. And her beautiful dark green eyes, and her gorgeous hair. Oh my God. Amanda? Yes. Amanda giggled excitedly and executed a well-rehearsed curtsy. She looked incredible. She was wearing a vintage-style emerald green halter-neck dress. It fell just below the knee and had crisp white petticoats peeping out from underneath. She also had on a short-sleeve white cardigan, 2 buttons fastened to emphasize her bust, which had appeared from nowhere it seemed. She was wearing seamed stockings, cute Mary Jane heeled shoes, and was holding a small black vintage handbag. Her hair was long and curly and held back neatly with a matching green hairband. Her nails were painted classic red and her makeup looked simply perfect. A sparkly silver earring dangled gracefully from each ear and a matching bracelet hung off her left wrist. I was in shock, but somehow I made it over to the table and we both sat down. You said you wanted to meet Amanda, so here I am. I know, but I didn't recognize you. You look absolutely stunning. Well, I've had plenty of practice. Yeah, but so have I. I've been a woman for 30 years and I can't, you're just. You don't mind, do you? Sorry if it's a bit of a surprise. I was thinking about telling you beforehand, but. Oh, it's a surprise, all right. I took a deep breath. I need a drink. Sorry, I didn't know what to get you. It's fine. I forced a smile as I stood up from the table and quickly made my way over to the bar. I hoped no one else had seen my reaction to meeting Amanda and the embarrassment that seemingly followed, although they almost certainly had done. I bought myself a Cosmopolitan and took it back to the table. You look fantastic, by the way. Amanda told me. She was sitting cross-legged, foot gently rocking back and forth and her petticoats still peeping out from underneath her dress. She looked effortlessly feminine. I couldn't take my eyes off her. Thanks. I kind of feel second best at the moment though. I replied. I thought as you'd seen my picture the other day, you might like to meet the other side of Amanda. The side of Amanda where you look absolutely gorgeous as a woman? I quipped. Well, yeah. Amanda laughed, but she sounded uncomfortable. There was definitely now a little awkwardness between us, and for the very first time during any of our dates, neither of us knew what to say next. Our drinks were going down fast and I really wasn't sure how the night was going to pan out from here on. I decided to break the ice again and ask a question. So, how long have you been doing this exactly? I was about 12 when I started trying on my mom's dresses in secret, 13 when she first caught me doing it. By 16 I was experimenting with makeup and in my early 20s I was going out to the gay clubs every weekend in drag. For a while Amanda was a part-time thing, but then 5 years ago I gave up my office job and became a full-time queen. It's always been a bit of an obsession, but I try not to let it take over my life. I mean, I have a life as Erin too, as I hope to show you that by asking you out on our first date and not introducing Amanda right away. I see. I was still struggling. Everything he told me was perfectly feasible, but there were still a lot of unknowns about the life Erin led. And how did your past girlfriends cope with the whole drag queen thing? Well, there's not been many, to be honest. I know for a lot of people it's not something they feel comfortable being involved with, which is fair enough. But I've had a couple of relationships where it's worked well for a while. And you're comfortable being involved with the whole gay scene? I mean, everyone must presume you're gay, so for someone who isn't, that must be difficult. I wasn't quite sure where I was going with my line of questioning, or if I was going to like the answer. Well, it's something I've done for a long time, as I say, so I'm used to it. I'm totally comfortable with who I am, which certainly helps. I've built up a large fan base of gay and straight people. I see myself as an artist, and dressing as a woman is my art. The fact that people quite like what I do, it makes the hard work all worthwhile. Someone even set up a fan club for me recently. Wow, okay. I took a sip of my drink. All I could think about were Diane's words. Could I be a woman who dated a guy who was more attractive than I was? I was becoming stressed and felt a hot flush coming on. The noise in the room suddenly sounded much louder and I was struggling to concentrate. I decided I couldn't stay any longer, I had to leave. I'm so sorry, I have to go. I stood up and grabbed my purse. Stacy, no, don't go. Amanda stood up and pleaded with me. I'm sorry. I turned and quickly headed for the exit. I was almost crying. I felt terrible walking out like that. It wasn't fair on Amanda, but I had to leave. I just couldn't cope with the situation. I flagged down a taxi and went straight home. It was barely past 10 p.m. when I got into bed. I was so embarrassed, so ashamed of myself. I knew Diane would call me in the morning and ask me all about it and I'd have to try and explain. But I was struggling to explain it to myself. How could I possibly explain it to her? I turned my phone off and cried myself to sleep. The next day I woke just after 9 a.m., more through habit than through intervention this time. I turned my phone on and saw a missed call from Diane and a text message from Aaron asking simply if we could talk. I didn't want to ignore him, but I wasn't quite ready to face the fallout from last night just yet. I had a quick shower and then went downstairs to sit down in front of the television. I planned on doing absolutely nothing all day, but soon curiosity got the better of me and I reached for my laptop. It didn't take me long to find the Amanda Hug and Kiss fan club page on the internet and I was stunned to see it had well over 1,000 members. I was immediately faced with a treasure trove of photographs, each accompanied by comments from Amanda's adoring fans. Sorted into categories, the photos showcased each side of Amanda's drag queen personality. Some were professionally taken, others had been taken by her fans at the shows and events she had been at. There were 10 categories, amongst them was a section dedicated to her work at the Sparkle Club, another for her professional modeling, and another for her appearances at various Pride events. There was even a dedicated section for pictures of her wearing wedding dresses, something she seemed to have done on several occasions. Each photograph left me open-mouthed and speechless. The dresses she was wearing were exquisite, in every conceivable style and color. I found myself quite jealous. She looked so comfortable on stage and in front of the camera, and while in some photos she appeared as the over-the-top drag queen no doubt expected by many of her fans at the Sparkle Club or at Pride, in others she appeared as a very beautiful woman, just as she had done at the bar last night. These photos were 1,000 times better than the one she had shown me on her phone, which made me wonder why she had shown me such a poor representation of herself when she had all these fantastic pictures available. The comments were so complimentary and seemed to have been posted by a range of people, women, men, gay and straight. I didn't know what to think. I had unwittingly entered a world I scarcely knew existed. Diane rang me again, but I ignored the call, then texted her to say I'd catch up with her later. I was contemplating calling Aaron, or at least texting him, but I didn't yet know what I wanted to say. Soon after he beat me to it and texted me again, asking if we could talk. I replied that I was busy but instantly regretted dismissing him again so easily. I just didn't know how to fix the situation. It got to early afternoon and I finally decided that I had to do something. I had to see Aaron and confront my feelings of how I felt about Amanda. If I didn't do this now, I would be seriously jeopardizing any hope of further friendship with him, let alone a romantic relationship, although I was pretty sure by now, due to my behavior, that ship had sailed. I quickly got dressed and left the house. While I hadn't been to Aaron's flat before, he had told me roughly where it was, so my plan was to talk to him there. I had to see him face to face, and I had to apologize for last night. It took about 15 minutes, but following first my instinct and then the GPS on my phone, I made it to his apartment complex. His was number 4. I remembered him telling me 4 was my lucky number, so I wasn't going to forget that. The main gate to the complex was open, and I quickly found his flat along the corridor. I paused for a moment, then knocked loudly on the door. I had to wait what seemed like forever, but eventually I heard movement inside, and then the door opened. "Stacy!" "Hi, Aaron." "Oh." I gasped as a surge of electricity tingled up my spine. I instantly felt butterflies in my stomach. The spark I had been hoping for when I had kissed him last week had suddenly arrived. Except it wasn't Aaron who answered the door, it was Amanda. She was wearing a long pink maxi dress and a simple white shawl over her shoulders. Her hair was tied back in a ponytail but still looked fantastic. She was wearing makeup and her perfume smelt beautifully soft and feminine. "I didn't know you were coming, otherwise I would have." Amanda was clearly surprised to see me standing in her doorway. "No, it's fine," I interrupted. "You look amazing, like you always do. Do you want to come in?" "That's why I'm here," I joked. Amanda stepped aside and showed me into her flat. It opened out into a large living space and kitchen, with further rooms along a corridor. It was extremely neat and tidy, with artwork hanging from a couple of the walls and a pleasant floral smell drifting across the room courtesy of a scented candle. I took a seat on the large couch. Amanda followed me a few seconds later and sat down next to me. "I'm so sorry about last night," Amanda began. "Don't be silly. I'm the one who should be apologizing. I was the one who walked out and left you at the bar." "Yes, but it was because of me you did it. I should have asked you if you wanted me to go as Amanda. It was too soon for you to see all that. And now here you are the day after and you're having to see it all again." "It's fine, honestly it is." "So what happened last night then?" "I was just surprised. When I saw you dressed like that, I wasn't expecting it. And my friend Diane had said something last week which kinda stuck in my head. But then I was thinking about everything this morning and I started to realize something. And then when you opened the door just then, it all became a lot clearer." "What did?" Amanda replied, curiously. "I like you," I announced. "I like you too. I mean, I really like you." "Amanda." "Oh." Last night I got freaked out by the prospect of dating a guy who was clearly more attractive than I was. "You looked absolutely incredible, you really did. And this morning I looked at your fan club page and saw the photos of you on there, and just, wow. I don't know what to say. Just hear me out." I insisted. "Okay." Spending time with Aaron was fun, but it was like catching up with an old school friend. But meeting Amanda, and seeing how amazingly comfortable and confident you are when you are her, it was so exciting. I know my reaction last night didn't show that. I was just so confused. But since you told me you are a drag queen, I've thought about nothing else. And then when I saw it with my own eyes last night, and seeing you again today, it gave me butterflies. I can't stop thinking about you. I've fallen for you. I've fallen for Amanda. I want to have a relationship with her." "Wow." "I don't know what to say," Amanda muttered, clearly struggling for words. "Don't say anything, just stand up." I giggled. "Huh?" "Stand up and close your eyes," I insisted. First ensuring that Amanda had closed her eyes as requested, I took her hands in mine. I then paused for a second before leaning in for a kiss. Amanda smiled as she realized what was happening. We kissed again and soon we had our arms around each other. A tingle shot down my spine once again, another incredible spark. Amanda felt it too. Oh my. Amanda still couldn't find the words. I know, right? I giggled as we collapsed back onto the couch together. I honestly thought after last night you would never want to see me again. I know I handled it badly, but I'm like that sometimes. Typical woman, I'm sure you understand. We'll go back to that bar sometime so we can finish our cocktails. I understand. Amanda giggled in her usual way. And I do quite like that place. In fact, after you left, a group of lads came over and offered to buy me drinks. I was tempted, but... What? I sounded more dramatic than I really was. But I politely declined. Lads like that, not my type. I mean, half of them were wearing shoes without socks. How disgusting is that? Oh God, yeah, I hate that. We both giggled as we held each other's hands. Who is your type then? I added. You. Amanda kissed me again. So you gonna give me the grand tour or what? I'm guessing one of these rooms is crammed full of all your amazing dresses? Oh, absolutely. You're going to love it. I'll show you my petticoat cupboard too. You have a petticoat cupboard? Hell yeah. They don't call me the petticoat queen for nothing. The Sparkle Club. Suddenly the house lights dipped and the stage lights came on. The compere for the evening, a well-groomed man in a pink tuxedo, walked onto the stage. Ladies and gentlemen of the Sparkle Club, it's the moment you've been waiting for. Please welcome to the stage, Queen Amanda. There was a huge cheer from the crowd as Amanda made her way onto the stage. Pausing briefly to greet the compere with a flamboyant air kiss, she then waved to the audience playfully as she walked to her starting position. She looked magnificent. She was wearing a long golden evening gown, dripping in sequins. It was tight around the bust and body but flared out into a gloriously layered skirt, and her gold strappy heels peeped out from beneath her dress as she walked. Her hair, now a gorgeous chocolate cherry brunette color, was up, held skillfully in place with a combination of pins and a sparkling tiara. Her makeup was perfect as always, a striking red lipstick and glittery eyeshadow. She looked absolutely stunning. The music started and 6 backing dancers joined her on stage. They were all well-built, very handsome men, shirtless in tight black pants that left very little to the imagination. "Let's go, girls! Come on!" Amanda screamed joyfully as she began dancing around the stage in a well-rehearsed routine. The crowd went wild. "Oh my God!" Diane shouted, open-mouthed. She was rarely speechless, but right now I think she was pretty close. I know, right? I giggled excitedly. The best thing about being a woman is the prerogative to have a little fun. Amanda continued through her song, at one point being lifted completely off her feet by her half-naked dancers. She oozed style and confidence. Her voice sounded incredible too. She already had the audience in the palm of her hand. Oh, get in the action, feel the attraction, color my hair, do what I dare. Oh, I want to be free, yeah, to feel the way I feel. Man, I feel like a woman. Diane and I were sat at the VIP table, center stage, the best seats in the house. The majority of those who had seats were now stood up, with a large number having left their tables to congregate together in the large open space at the foot of the stage. Everyone was singing along, totally in awe of Amanda. "I get totally crazy, can you feel it? Come on baby, I feel like a woman." Confetti fell from the ceiling as the song came to an end. Amanda's dancers came to a standstill and arranged themselves around her, dropping to their knees and bowing down to their queen. The crowd cheered and clapped and Amanda giggled with delight. "Good evening." Amanda waved excitedly at her audience, paying a little extra attention to those standing at the front. "That was incredible," I shouted as I turned to Diane to gauge her reaction. She was clapping but less enthusiastically than everyone else. "You okay?" I added. "Yeah," she replied with a smile. Amanda then launched into her next song, "I Am a Woman" by Peggy Lee. Her dancers jumped up and began their next choreographed routine. "'Cause I'm a woman. A WOMAN, I'll say it again 'cause I'm a woman. WOMAN, and that's all. Once again those who hadn't been standing throughout anyway, rose to their feet at the end of the song to applaud. There were shouts of "We love you Amanda," to which she responded with her usual girly chuckle. "I love you too," she added as she allowed herself a moment to catch her breath. "Well, aren't you a beautiful audience tonight? Almost as beautiful as my dancers. I don't know where we find them. Heaven, I think." The crowd cheered, they were hanging on her every word. The fact that she was now flirting with her dancers became all the more fitting when she launched into her third song, the Diana Ross classic "Chain Reaction." "Oh, I love this one." Diane was suddenly more animated. "Me too," I replied. Both of us were now dancing. "I'm in the middle of a chain reaction, you give me all the after midnight action. I want to get you where I can let you make all that love to me. We talk about love, love, love." At the end of the song, Amanda dashed off stage while her dancers kept dancing as the music came back as a reprise. "Where's she gone?" Diane leaned over and asked me curiously. "You'll see," I replied. We didn't have long to wait. No more than 2 minutes later Amanda reappeared to gasps and cheers. She was no longer the golden diva, as if by magic she had transformed herself into a beautiful fairy tale princess. She was wearing a full-length Cinderella-style baby blue prom dress with countless layers of petticoats underneath. She had long white silk gloves, a stunning silver necklace and matching drop earrings, and gorgeous silver strappy heels. Her hair was now down, with another glistening silver tiara on her head to complete her look. For a few moments she didn't say anything, she just stood still in the center of the stage and took the applause as dozens of phones flashed as they took photographs. During this short time her dancers had disappeared off stage, although I'm sure not many had noticed. They returned wearing matching white shirts, black waistcoats and bow ties, a classier look for the second half. All eyes were on Amanda though, of course. Then, as the applause finally began to decline, she launched into her signature song, Dancing Queen by ABBA. You can dance, you can jive, having the time of your life. Ooh, see that girl, watch that scene, dig in the Dancing Queen. The crowd went crazy, everyone loved it. It was without doubt the perfect song for Amanda. The way she moved effortlessly and gracefully around the stage in her huge dress, occasionally taking the arm of one of her dancers, she was in her element. There was more confetti as the song came to an end, and more cheering and applause. Thank you, you're all so kind. That's one of my most favorite songs. I always wanted to be the Dancing Queen ever since I was a little boy. She giggled and the crowd did too. And tonight I am. So thank you so much, it was a pleasure to sing it for you tonight. Okay, I want to sit down for the next one. In a perfectly choreographed moment, Amanda turned around to see a large red velvet-lined throne being wheeled onto the stage by two assistants. They set it down in the very center of the stage and disappeared quickly when done. Then two of her dancers took her by the hand and escorted her to her throne, helping her slowly and gracefully sit down, her large dress and petticoats puffing up delightfully around her. She took a moment to settle, then looked back out towards the audience. "That's better." She smiled. Her dancers then came and gathered around the throne in formation, some stood, some kneeled at her feet. There was no doubting that she was the queen and they were her subjects. The music then started again and she sang her next song, What It Feels Like for a Girl by Madonna. It was a little slower and more thought-provoking lyrically than what had come before, but she sang it beautifully. Do you know what it feels like for a girl? Do you know what it feels like in this world, for a girl? The room erupted into applause once more when the song came to an end. Amanda then took the hand of one of her dancers and stood up from her throne, again turning her attention to those stood right at the front. They adored her, some were almost in tears. I imagined they were her most loyal fans, the ones who come to see her perform at every show, and then upload their pictures onto the fan club page the next day. Well, this has been fun, hasn't it? She took a deep breath. The crowd cheered. No one was quite ready for the show to end. We should do this again sometime, don't you think? Amanda added. The crowd cheered again, agreeing with her in unison. Okay, this is my last song, but stick around afterwards, have another drink and come say hi. I'll be right over there sharing a cocktail with those two lovely ladies. Amanda pointed in our direction and I briefly felt the eyes of the room on Diane and thankfully it didn't last for long and the music started up. Amanda launched herself into one final song and the dancers began their final routine of the night. Thank you all for coming. I'm Queen Amanda and this is the Shoop Shoop song. Does he love me, I want to know, how can I tell if he loves me so? Is it in his eyes? Oh no! You'll be deceived. Oh whoa, it's in his kiss, that's where it is. Singing a Cher song was the perfect way to end the show. She was a gay icon and a fan favorite, but so it seemed Amanda was too. As she sang her final note, one last shower of confetti fell to the ground and she took her bow. There were kisses and hugs for all the dancers in turn and endless applause from the audience. Finally she left the stage and the house lights came up. So, what do you think? I turned to Diane, desperately hoping she had enjoyed herself. Oh my God, Stacy, that was amazing. I told you she was good. Yeah, but I had no idea she would be that good. I mean, that was incredible. It's one of the best shows I've ever seen. Diane sat back down in her seat, breathless and almost speechless. She had been won over by seeing Amanda perform tonight, without a doubt. There was a buzz around the room after Amanda's performance. The house DJ began playing some easy-listening lounge music, which was the perfect backdrop for people to start chatting and mingling. There was a lot going on around the room. Half a dozen drag queens in big wigs and sparkly dresses were stood together and were complimenting each other on their fabulous outfits. A group of men in tight-fitting shirts and skinny jeans were hugging and theatrically air-kissing each other, and there were also a couple of different groups of women, possibly on hen nights or perhaps even just a regular Saturday night out, all of them dancing enthusiastically whilst clutching onto their handbags. In one hand, champagne glasses in the other. This was the first time Diane and I had been to the Sparkle Club. Amanda had treated me to a run-through of her performance at her flat a few days earlier, so I had an idea of how good a singer she was, but nothing could have prepared me for how spectacular the full stage show was going to be. She was at the very top of her game. Was I a little jealous when she flirted with her topless dancers? Of course I was. But it was just part of the act, I knew that. I absolutely adored Amanda. We had by this point been officially dating for 6 weeks, and I was so excited that we were now in a relationship. A few minutes later, there was an excitable cheer from those still stood at the front as a stage door opened and Amanda emerged. She had changed again, this time into a beautiful white vintage dress, with her trademark petticoats bouncing around underneath as she walked. She gave hugs and kisses to the other drag queens, and also many of the gay men who had been waiting for her to reappear. Then after a couple of minutes chatting with her fans, she made her way over to the VIP area to where Diane and I were. "Hey you!" Amanda came straight to me and gave me a huge hug and a kiss. "You were incredible," I replied excitedly. "Thank you." Amanda smiled, kissing me again before taking a seat at the table next to me. "Hey Diane," she added. "Hey Amanda. You were great," Diane replied. "Not too gay for you, I hope?" Amanda quipped. "Oh, that was the gayest thing I've ever seen." "But I loved it," Diane laughed. "Good to hear. Well, I'm so glad you came." Amanda smiled and took a sip from a glass of water she had brought with her to the table. "Oh my God, that Cinderella dress. You said you had something special planned for the second half, but wow." I moved my chair closer to Amanda's and held her hand in mine underneath the table. "I know, right? I've been planning the Dancing Queen routine for a while, and had that dress made especially. Lucia only finished it on Thursday." "Who's Lucia?" Diane asked. "She's my dressmaker," Amanda replied. "You have your own dressmaker?" Diane exclaimed. "I have several, but Lucia is my favorite. The dresses she's made for me over the years are just divine. They don't sell dresses like hers in the shops, that's for sure." "Well, I'm definitely trying that one on tomorrow. I don't care what you say." I laughed. "I'm sure that's the only reason you're with me, for my wardrobe," Amanda joked. "It's not the only reason." I winked as I leaned over and kissed Amanda again, giving her hand a squeeze under the table as I did so. We were then interrupted by someone approaching our table. I recognized him as one of the dancers from the show. He had changed now though and was wearing a bright purple shirt and smart black trousers. "Well, isn't this a pretty picture?" Not waiting for an invite, the man sat down in the spare chair on the other side of Amanda. "Oh, Cal. Hi." Amanda turned to the man and gave him a slightly awkward hug. "Stacy, Diane, this is Callum." "Cal, this is Stacy and Diane." "Stacy, I've heard lots about you, finally a woman willing to take on the challenge of saving Aaron's love life." Callum giggled to himself. "Yes, that's me." I replied politely, not quite sure how serious Callum was with his comment, or what he meant by it exactly. "Callum is one of my dancers. We've been working together on and off for a few years now," Amanda added. "Oh, come on, Aaron, I'm more to you than that, surely?" Callum uttered. "Okay, well, we're good friends too," Amanda replied. "Well, you're a very good dancer, Callum." Diane made a timely interruption. "Thank you, Diane." "Oh, I like you," Callum replied in an overly camp, flirtatious tone. "Cal, behave," Amanda replied. A short period of awkward silence followed, broken when Diane and I left the table together to go to the bathroom. When we got back, Amanda and Callum were in deep discussion about something, but they cut short their conversation when they saw us sit back down. "Okay, well, I'll leave you 3 ladies to it, well, 2.5 ladies." Callum laughed as he stood up from the table. "Nice to meet you, Stacy and Diane. See you later." "Amanda." Callum left as quickly as he had appeared. Amanda had clearly been feeling slightly uncomfortable in his presence for some reason and seemed relieved to see him go. The night was drawing to a close, so Diane and I finished our drinks and Amanda dashed backstage to pick up her things. Still wearing her white dress, but now with a big pink faux fur coat over the top of it and carrying a white vintage handbag, we met her outside the entrance to the club and got into a waiting taxi. After first dropping Diane off at her house, we continued on to Amanda's flat where I was going to stay the night. It was late, but with us both still on a high from the brilliant night we'd had, we were not quite ready for bed, so instead we collapsed onto the couch together, Amanda still in her white dress and petticoats, me in my much less impressive strappy blue dress. It was nice to finally be by ourselves. "So you had a fun night?" Amanda asked as she began stroking the back of my neck gently. "Really good, yeah. You were amazing." I accompanied the compliment with a short kiss on Amanda's cheek. "Years of practice." She smiled. "Callum's an interesting guy though," I added. "Why do you say that?" Amanda replied, slightly hesitantly. "He called you Aaron for starters. And he seemed a bit rude about you as he was leaving." "Oh, that's just the way he is. We've known each other a while, I guess he knows me better than some of the other people I work with. Although tonight was the first night he's danced for me for ages." "I see. So there's nothing else going on between you? He's not a rival queen or anything? As from what I've heard, you guys can get quite competitive sometimes." "No, nothing like that. But..." Amanda paused. "But what?" "I'll be honest with you, Stacy, as I don't want to begin our relationship by having any secrets from you. Callum is my ex. We dated for 6 months, a couple of years ago." "Dated?" I sat up on the couch, ending the close cuddle we had been sharing up until that point. "Yes. We met when he started dancing for me, we spent a lot of time together, and we got close. It was never going to work out though, really, we were just too different as people." "You've seen what he's like. So you date men as well as women then?" I was afraid at what the answer was going to be, but I had to ask. "No, well, not anymore, not since Cal. After we broke up, I gave myself a bit of time to reflect, decide where I was going with my life. Then I began looking for my next relationship, but I wanted a serious relationship, someone to hopefully settle down with. Callum wasn't interested in any of that. I also knew that what I wanted was to be with a woman." "I see. So why does he still dance for you then?" I didn't know he was still with the group when I asked them to be in my show. I thought he'd left. So when he showed up to rehearsal, I was a bit shocked to see him, but we kept it professional. "I never knew you were into guys. I thought it was just part of your act." "I'm not. Anymore. Yes, I've been with guys before, and for a long time when I was younger I thought I might have been gay, but I'm not, I know that now. I am who I am and I've found comfort in that. I've been with women too, and when I met you, well, I knew I was on to a good thing. You have to trust me, you have nothing to worry about, I promise." "Okay." I wasn't completely convinced, but I was tired and didn't want to think about it anymore tonight. I forced a smile and leaned back over to restart our cuddle. Amanda began to gently stroke the back of my neck again. As nice as it felt, I couldn't shake off the thought of Aaron and Callum being together. The next morning I awoke to Amanda gently stroking my neck and playing with my hair. It was a very pleasant way to wake up. Even in bed she was more glamorous than I was, her black silk nightdress beating my plain pink cotton pajamas hands down. After several minutes of kissing and cuddling, we both decided we were ready for some breakfast. I had slept well and thankfully all negative thoughts about Amanda and Callum had now subsided. I trusted Amanda and had no reason to be suspicious of her. What she had done in the past was exactly that, the past. Still in our nightwear, but now also covered by matching pink silk robes, I didn't ask why she had 2 matching robes. Amanda buttered some toast, squeezed some orange juice and made some coffee. It was Sunday and we had no plans, other than to spend all day together. It was still fairly early, so I was surprised when there was a knock at the door. Amanda left me at the kitchen table for a moment and then came back no more than 2 minutes later. She had a huge grin on her face. "Who was that?" I asked curiously. "Oh, that was Miranda from the Sparkle Club. She was just dropping off my dresses, the ones I wore last night." "Wow, you have someone drive your dresses around for you? You really are A-list." I laughed. "I wouldn't go that far. But you saw the size of that Cinderella dress. You need a van to transport that thing about." "True. There definitely wasn't room for it in the taxi," I added. "You still want to try it on later?" Amanda asked. She was now sat back down at the table with me. "Of course," I replied excitedly. I couldn't wait to see the dress again, but this time close up. We finished our breakfast and then had quick showers to freshen up. Amanda was now wearing pink sweatpants and a plain gray t-shirt, the most boring outfit I had ever seen her wear, but she still looked amazing. Even without any makeup she still looked feminine, having her gorgeous long hair certainly helped. Before I could get dressed though, Amanda dragged me by the hand, wearing nothing but a towel and my robe, into her dressing room where last night's dresses were now hanging up pride of place. Oh my God! I had come face to face with the Cinderella gown. That's incredible. Look at the size of it. I held my hand out to touch its delicate silky material. It's deceptively heavy to wear, with all those layers. Well, you have your throne to sit in when you get tired. I joked. You want to try it on? Amanda encouraged, not that I needed much encouraging. Yes, but first let me see this one. Oh my God, this one's amazing too. I was now stood in front of the gold dress, the one Amanda had worn to open her show. It instantly grabbed my attention with its magnificent sparkling sequins, its long beautiful skirt and figure-hugging body. Seeing it from a distance last night hadn't really done it true justice. Up close the dress was absolutely stunning. Always been a crowd favorite, this one. My fans at the club demand a bit of sparkle from me, and that's what they get when I wear this. I want to try this one on first, I uttered. You sure? It'll turn you into a diva. Yes, absolutely. Transform me into the sparkling queen you were last night. I was so excited. Very well. Amanda giggled. She was clearly excited too. While Amanda took the dress down off the hanger and prepared it for me to put on, I quickly went back to the bedroom to put on my underwear. When I came back, she held the dress out in front of me and I carefully stepped into it. She pulled it up slowly and then began tugging at the fastenings and the lace ties, tightening the bodice around me until we reached a snug fit. The skirt was glorious and flared out at the bottom, and I was suddenly well aware of my boobs, hips and bum, but in a good way. The dress was heavy due to the many layers of material and sewn-on sequins, but it was an almost perfect fit and I immediately felt like a fabulous queen. But Amanda wasn't finished. She disappeared into a cupboard for a moment and returned with a big blonde bouffant wig. Tying my own hair back into a tight ponytail and hiding it under a wig cap, she put the wig onto my head and used a couple of pins to hold it in position. On top of my new hair, she added a tiara, the same one she had worn with the dress the night before. Hang on. She still wasn't quite done with me. Amanda then disappeared again briefly and brought back a large makeup bag. She rummaged around in it for a second before taking out a few items to use. Still standing up, I closed my eyes as a swipe of glittery eyeshadow was applied to each eyelid. Then a dust of blush was added to each cheek, and finally a lush red lipstick was applied generously to my lips. Amanda then handed me 2 long gold dangling earrings which I put in myself, and finally she pushed a pair of strappy high heels in front of me to step into. She took my hand and led me over to a large floor-length mirror in the corner of the room. Well, what do you think? Amanda took a step back. My transformation was complete. Oh my God! I love it! I was amazed. The dress looked absolutely stunning, and the wig, slightly flamboyant as it was, made the perfect addition, as did the makeup and accessories. In little over 10 minutes I had been transformed from a girl in a towel to a magnificent drag queen. Now you know what I go through every night. Yes, I do. I giggled, still admiring my reflection in the mirror. Now I know how much fun you're having. Suddenly there was another knock at the door. I turned to Amanda, hoping that this didn't signal the end of our dressing up session, but she didn't seem too concerned by the interruption. It's probably just Bill from security. He comes round on a Sunday sometimes to check on the flats, make sure everything's okay. I'll get rid of him. Okay. I smiled, then turned back to the mirror. I still couldn't believe how good I looked as a drag queen, or how comfortable I was with the reflection I was seeing. Amanda then left the room and headed to the front door. I was blissfully unaware of who it was and what was about to happen. Erin! An older woman with dyed red hair was standing in the doorway. What are you doing here? Amanda replied, somewhat startled. Do I need an invitation to come and visit you now? I called but you didn't answer, so I just came over anyway. We were in the dressing room. I must have missed your call. We? The woman replied. Yes, I have Stacy here. Well, you can introduce me then. The woman was insistent. Now's not a good time. Amanda's attempt to make her change her mind would ultimately fail. Nonsense. I've come all the way across town to see you. The woman didn't wait for an invitation to come in and pushed past Amanda into the flat, immediately putting her handbag down on the floor by the couch. She then sat down and waited for Amanda to close the door and join her. Back in the dressing room, I hadn't heard the conversation, but I had heard the front door close. Presuming that Amanda had successfully dispatched Bill the security guard, I picked up the corner of my dress and confidently walked out into the living area, introducing myself as if I was walking on at the Sparkle Club. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Queen Stacy. My heart then dropped as I realized that Amanda wasn't alone. I saw the woman sat on the couch and then she saw me. Amanda then looked over at me and mouthed an apology. Mom, this is Stacy. Stacy, this is my mom. I instantly blushed with embarrassment as I realized what my entrance into the room must have looked like. This was not the way I had wanted to meet Amanda's mom for the first time, but there was nothing I could do about it now. Things were about to get more embarrassing for us all though as Amanda's mom addressed me. "Oh, hello Stacy, nice to meet you." Aaron always said he'd never date another drag queen, but I always knew one day he would. "You two must have so much in common." Amanda and I fell silent. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Thankfully she spoke next and tried her best to fix the situation. "Mom, Stacy isn't a drag queen. She was just trying on my dress for a bit of fun." "Oh, I see. So you're all woman then, Stacy?" Amanda's mom replied in a calm, almost deadpan fashion. I nodded. "Mom, don't say it like that. Stacy is a woman, yes. And she's my girlfriend." "Well, I do apologize, Stacy. It's just quite difficult to tell sometimes, with all the people Aaron spends time with nowadays, you never quite know." "Oh, it's fine," I muttered. Ideally the floor would have swallowed me up there and then, but I knew I had to stay and ride out the awkwardness. "I'll make some tea." Thankfully Amanda quickly changed the subject and I shuffled over to the couch to sit down next to her mom. The three of us sat down together and drank tea. I wanted to change out of the dress but knew I wouldn't be able to take it off on my own. So I remained dressed as a drag queen for the duration, which didn't do much for convincing Amanda's mom I wasn't actually a drag queen. I got the impression that despite what Amanda and I had claimed, she still wasn't 100% sure. An hour or so later, Amanda's mom left and it was just the two of us again. Amanda apologized for the unexpected visit, but I told her it was fine. As embarrassing as it has been to begin with, it was nice to finally meet her mom. Next I knew I would have to introduce Amanda to my own parents, but that could wait for another day. We went back to the dressing room where I changed out of the gold dress and, after being convinced we weren't expecting any further visitors in the afternoon, I swapped it for the Cinderella dress. Seeking a more natural look this time, I took off the wig and wiped off the glittery makeup. Once fastened into the dress, I shuffled my way through to the living area again and collapsed onto the couch, the huge dress spreading out across pretty the majority of it. Amanda then joined me and was instantly consumed by the large skirt when she sat next to me. "How do you like this one?" Amanda asked. She had now changed out of her sweatpants into a much nicer floral skirt. "I love it. I feel like an actual princess." I giggled. "That's the idea. I can't imagine doing you dancing queen routine in it though." "Well, that's the tricky bit." She laughed. "Hey, can I ask you something?" I tried to now sound more serious. "Sure, anything." "Why does your mom call you Aaron? Does she not accept you as Amanda?" "Oh, she does, but she's just a bit traditional, I guess." It took her a long time to understand the lifestyle I lead. She is supportive of what I do, but she still sees it as just a job that I do. I'm an only child too, so she likes to think she still has a son, I guess, so I don't mind what she calls me. "Well, if you want to see traditional parenting, wait until you meet my mom and dad," I added. "Oh." Amanda laughed, slightly awkwardly. "Has she ever seen one of your shows?" I asked, now very intrigued about Amanda's mom. "Yeah, a couple of times. I think that's why she got a bit confused when you were dressed like that. I'm sure we'll laugh about that one day, not today though. I'm glad I met her though. I just wish it had been a bit different. She probably went away thinking I'm actually a man." "Nah, your boobs look too realistic." Amanda joked. "Yours looked pretty real last night too, by the way." I laughed. "Just think, if she'd arrived half an hour earlier she would have seen you in a towel." "True," I replied. I then went quiet for a second before taking Amanda by the hand and leaning in for a kiss. This simple task was more challenging than it should have been, due to the many layers of princess dress seemingly between us, but it was a fun moment. "What was that for?" "Just because." I smiled. "Hey, I know I go on all the time about how much I adore Amanda and love spending time with her, and it's true, I really do. But I do like Aaron too, by the way, he is also a lot of fun. So let's not forget about him. You should just be whoever you want to be, wear whatever you want to wear, and I'll call you whatever you want to be called. It's all fine with me. Boy or girl, I love you either way." There was a brief moment of silence as Amanda reviewed what I had just said. "You love me?" She giggled. "I do, yes. I love both of you, all of you. I love everything about you. Well, I love you too, Stacy." Amanda wrapped her hands around me and pulled me closer to her. She planted a kiss on my lips and then we both collapsed back onto the couch. Lying together in a huge sea of delightful white petticoats and blue silky dress fabric, she continued to kiss me and hold me tight. It was one of the happiest moments of my life. I was so in love with this woman, this man, this person. There was no one else in the world I would rather be with. I also loved how wearing this beautiful princess dress made me feel. Wearing the gold dress earlier had given me the same wonderful feeling too. I had been mesmerized by my transformation and I had loved how I looked when stood in front of the mirror. And despite the embarrassing moment with Amanda's mom, walking out into the open, wearing the dress, the wig, the makeup and all the accessories, had given me butterflies. I closed my eyes and imagined myself stood on stage at the Sparkle Club in front of hundreds of adoring fans, wearing this beautiful dress, singing the Shoop Shoop song. I imagined myself as a glamorous drag queen and a tingle of excitement shot down my spine. "You okay?" Amanda asked. She had felt my tingle too. "Yes, quite okay." I smiled and closed my eyes again.